decision. I'll face the sunny side head on. I had a vision of what it might be like.
What's up? It's our special Thursday show. We have a very special guest in studio that took us a long time to book because her people wouldn't get back to us. But we finally got her. We're very excited to have her in studio. Elby Taylor.
Hello.
We're so excited. So I dropped Elby off at college yesterday. We're recording on a Monday. And then she came home with us. So I had asked her, like, hey, come do the podcast.
Yes. So
I won't pay for college.
Yeah, I'm here for financial reasons only.
So you got into your new place yesterday.
I did. I'm so excited.
You're
It's
excited.
So nice. It's way nicer than I thought it was going to be. Not going to lie.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Super
what were you
nice.
expecting? Expectation versus reality.
So, I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be not nice because it's UCLA and it was a new building, but like I can't describe it. It's like very fresh. Like, you know, when like something is like a house is like
Almost brand new.
newly renovated, like everything is like brand new. That's what my apartment looks like. It's like very, I kept saying it felt like when I was walking around the hallways, like it felt like I was walking around a hotel. Like it was like
Oh, that's awesome.
so nice. I was like, oh my goodness.
That's great. And
Yeah.
you have a little kitchenette, like
I
a kitchen
do.
area with
We
a
have-
stove and a...
I was surprised. We have a microwave, we have a fridge, we have a stove, we have an oven, we have a dishwasher.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
nice.
We have a lot of stuff. It's like a nice kitchen. There's a lot of cabinet space, which you were happy about. And then we have like a little couch. There's a little TV stand, and one of my roommates got a TV, so we're gonna put that there. And then we have like a little dining table with a bunch of little stools, and then
That's so cute.
bunch of bedrooms, some bathrooms. It's very nice.
Very nice. It's
excited.
always nice when one of the people bring the TV for the
Yeah.
common area.
Exactly.
You get we need a TV. You have to have a TV, and it's always somebody that's like, "Oh, I had this last year, or this is from my bedroom. I brought her, whatever."
Yeah, exactly.
It's
I
nice.
could have brought mine, but it was nice because we made a group chat, and like 2 days after we made the group chat, one of my roommates was like, "Hey guys, so my dad actually works, I think, for Paramount," she said. And she was like, "We just have a bunch of just like brand new unused TVs or something." I don't actually know the full situation, but
Yeah.
she was somehow able to get a hold of
It's
a
great.
brand new TV for us.
That's
so.
that's
It
amazing.
is weird that they would work for Paramount
Paramount.
as opposed to
Like Best Buy.
No, that's what I thought. But you know what? If we got a TV, we got a TV. So I'm like,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
great.
I'm super excited.
Because, you think about it, and like when you're sharing with a bunch of girls, who's bringing the pots and pans, or who's bringing the
Yeah.
medicine cabinet, or who, like you don't know, or who's bringing the towels for the bathroom.
It was definitely a little bit chaotic because there's 8 of us. So there's 4 bedrooms. So I only have one actual like roommate who I adore. She's amazing. But I'm living with 7 other girls, and everyone was kind of debating on like decoration, and like some people decided on who's going to bring what, but then everyone was also kind of waiting to see what people were already like what people would bring once we moved in, because 7 out of 8 of us moved in yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't that spread out. So I think most people were kind of waiting to see what was already brought, and then from
Nice.
there we can assess
Yeah.
what we still need. But
Are your roommates are they from out of town?
actually barely any of them are. Everyone's from California.
Okay.
I think 6 out of 8 of us are from the Valley.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I think one girl is from Long Beach, and the farthest girl is from the Bay Area.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So everybody can kind of go home on the weekends.
Exactly.
Except for the Bay Area girl, but
Yeah.
you can bring her home with you on the weekends.
Exactly. But yeah, everybody is super local, which is why it's also funny. I don't think a lot of us are staying there until later in the week. So like all of us, quote unquote, moved in but barely any of us are actually sleeping there until
Right.
later in the week.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
That's
everything's there.
great. And it went smooth yesterday with your mom?
Yeah, it totally
Did she embarrass you at all?
No.
Okay.
Except for,
What?
hugging him. No, I'm kidding. I'm just
That
kidding.
hugging?
I'm just kidding. But yeah, it was super fun. It was really nice because I obviously knew 2 of my roommates already, but it was fun because I got to meet 2 more of them, and they were both so sweet, and it was just like really fun getting to meet everyone in person and see how everyone was decorating, and I got to put all my stuff in my room and get everything unpacked.
That's nice. Yeah.
So it was definitely very fun, and it wasn't as chaotic as I thought it was going to be. Like I
Right.
thought it was going to be this whole ordeal of having to put everything in a bunch of carts and having to figure my way figure out how to program all my cards
Right.
and get
Right.
into my apartment, and then everybody. But it went pretty smoothly.
That's
So,
great.
Yeah.
But not to make this about me, but we were just laughing because I was kind of telling the story a little bit from my perspective about how you used to be the anxious one, and then somehow
it's
like
you.
it's turned around, and how you were having to be like, Mom, relax, like it's gonna be fine. And I was like, this used to be you. You were the one who would have been
Like,
like,
had all the
what are we
questions.
gonna do? Who's gonna check us in? And I was like, oh, well, are you gonna need it? So you need a PIN number for this, but are they gonna program your
She
card? And
asked
Elby
me
was
about
like,
that like 6 times in the car. You kept being like, okay, so you need the PIN number and the Bruin card. And I was like, yes. And you go, okay, so that means that you don't have to program your Bruin card because you have a PIN. And I was like, no, I still need to program my Bruin card. There's going to be an area for it, but I also need a PIN. And she was like, so what do you need the PIN for? Like, and I was like, oh my God, please, just, I know what's happening. Like, it's fine. I promise. I've
So
talked
you
to,
have so you just need your card to get into the building.
so
now Lynette's gonna ask. She's gonna be like, yeah, but I guess I'm confused.
no, so with Berkeley, when I visited Berkeley, oh God, they have the place locked down. You need your Bruin card. You need your little Berkeley ID to get into the building. You need your ID to use the elevator to get up to your room. And then you need your card to get into your
the
room. Mine, you don't need any of that to get into the building or anything. I don't think. I mean, the doors were open already, so we were just kind of going in. But I need my Bruin card. It's literally like a hotel. You put your card against the door,
Yeah.
and then I put in a pin, and it
Okay.
opens the door.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So it feels very secure.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
That's nice.
So your bedroom itself is just a door. You
Yeah,
just
my
open
bedroom
the door,
itself,
right?
you just open.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And do you feel like it's going to be an adjustment to be in like such a small space with a bunch of other people? And
I honestly don't think it's going to be as big of an adjustment, only because I'm used to going to summer camp every year. And honestly, for like several weeks, I lived with one other girl, my bestie, for when we were both counselors. And it was really fun. I actually really like having a roommate as long as they're, cool. And the girl that I got put with, not only did they assign the girls in the apartment itself, but they also assigned all the bedrooms. And I was so thankful because I got put with not only one of the girls that I had already met before, so she was one of the ones I knew going into it, but she was the one that was the most similar to me because they did it by preference. She's literally like me, like we're the same person, and she's
so cool that they do that.
so funny, very easygoing, very nice, like very chill. So I think it's going to be really fun. And I feel like I have enough space. It's not like the tiniest room ever.
Right.
I had enough space to unpack all my pounds of clothes.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
there's that.
There's that.
I was definitely more anxious. I was like, I don't know, you're going to bring all this stuff and all these shoes. And she was like, it's going to be fine. There's plenty of space.
And we
Yeah.
were still sitting there and you were like, are you sure you don't need this? Are you sure we're not going to bring a bunch of clothes back? And I was like, just let me do it. Don't worry. And it worked.
That's nice.
I got more hands off. I realized I was annoying her. She didn't want my help like organizing her clothes. She was like, leave it.
Yeah.
Don't touch my clothes. I was like, okay.
It was only because we would start on one bag and I'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to do this bag. And then I'd turn around and you're like emptying other stuff out of my other bags. And I'm like, no. We're going to get to that in like
She had her
Natalia
own.
was a little bit like that too.
Really?
Yeah, she needed to know where her stuff was. Like I'd start to help unpack another thing, and she's like, no. I'm doing. Let's just do the socks and underwear drawer first, and we'll get to that.
Yeah. I think that's where my own anxieties come in.
Yeah.
'Cause I think I'm like, okay, I already know where everything is in all of my bags. And if you take something out, I'm not going to know where it is. And then I'm
Exactly.
going to forget about it. Or I was like, let me just do one bag at a time. Because I
Right.
have all my pants and this stuff in one bag, but then I have all my decor and this stuff in another bag. Let me unpack my clothes, and then we'll worry about my hangers for my closet, you know?
Right.
This
right.
is cute. Elby has a little decorating hack for
Oh,
us.
yes.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I don't think it's like that unknown, because you know who did it was Lily. You know the posters in my room those
Yeah.
were done the same way.
Oh, okay.
But
I'm sure it's going to be a hack to me.
yeah, if you ever want like little posters for your room or anything like that, if you just go on anything like Google, Pinterest, whatever, and you find stuff, you can print like cute posters from FedEx for like 80 cents a piece.
Oh.
Yeah, so I printed like 30 posters for like 20 something,
Really?
and they're all like cute, they're good quality, you can stick them up on your walls, they look nice.
Oh.
And I didn't have to spend $40 on Amazon for like
Yeah.
10 things to put on my wall. I got a bunch. So
Well, they would have been more than that because the ones she was seeing that she liked on Amazon were like $10 each.
Oh wow.
yeah, but
So
that was
wait,
like sets of like,
How does it print out? Like on poster paper or?
it's like on thinner paper, but it's like, it's still poster. It's like, yeah,
Like
it's,
poster
It's
quality.
like poster quality, but
Okay.
they're
It
like
looks
prints, but they look nice, and like you can frame them too if you want to.
That's
like,
great.
But they're really nice. They're good quality. So
Oh, I love that.
yeah, it was super easy. You can like put in your order and then you pick it up like 2 hours later.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Oh my god, I might do that for my house.
I was gonna say, and luckily for me, we have a FedEx like
right. Yeah.
5 minutes drive from my house, so
Yeah.
super nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So how are you feeling about, I mean, I know how you're feeling, but you know, last we talked, you were so happy that you got into UCLA and then you've had a good summer. And are you feeling like, wow, I'm so glad that I didn't go somewhere else?
Yes, I think now more than ever, I feel very grateful that I did community college first, even though it was for a year and not 2. I definitely think that was the greatest decision I could have made, and that's coming from someone who was miserable. Like,
know.
oh my God, I would never go back to last year. But despite all of that, I think that doing community college was just such a great decision, because now I am here and like I did have to get through a lot of stuff, but now I am going to UCLA and I'm in a nice apartment, and I still feel it doesn't, I don't want to say it doesn't feel like I'm a transfer, because there's nothing wrong obviously with being a transfer, but like it doesn't feel like I'm some sort of like outsider that just like joined the school. Like getting into UCLA still felt like I got into UCLA.
Yeah.
Like if I got in right out of high school. And I was telling my mom this, but I was like, I think going to community college for a year even made it felt better getting in,
Right.
because I'd worked through so much more to get into the school
Yes.
that it was just like an even more amazing feeling to get accepted to the school and finally feel like everything is kind of coming together a little bit. But I'm just so glad. And I'm also glad that I didn't decide to just go to college right outside of high school, like just go to any college I got into just because I wanted the 4-year college experience.
Right.
Because like obviously I got into a couple schools. I got into, you know, UC Santa Cruz, which I hate saying like, oh God, like I didn't want to go to UC Santa Cruz, because there's also literally nothing wrong with Santa Cruz. I just, when I toured the school, I could tell that the environment was so far from what I'd pictured college to be. And I obviously had always wanted to go to a really big school, and I really wanted to go to a school that was like in a city, because I've always loved living in LA. And like, I don't know, Santa Cruz is obviously not that at all.
Right.
And I have friends at Santa Cruz who love it. Like I have friends who rave about it and are so happy there because they saw the campus and they saw the school and they were like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like it here. But obviously me, it was like, I don't think it was my type of campus. However, there were so many times where I contemplated going to the school just because I wanted the 4-year college experience. And I had never seen myself at community college. Like growing up, it had never even been an option for me. Like I'd always had it locked in my brain that I was going to college for 4 years. And that was like the only path. And obviously it kind of sucked because I was a victim to kind of looking at community college with that stigma that it has, where it's like only the people that don't do well in high school go to community college to kind of get their shit back together. And I was like, well, no, I worked my ass off in high school. I took 8 bajillion AP classes and I worked so hard. I got good grades. So I was like, it sucks going to school with kids that proudly flaunted their D's and their F's knowing that they were going to end up there. It kind of sucked. But then getting to community college, it was kind of refreshing because my professors were awesome. They were literally some of the best teachers I've had. Like they were awesome. Wow. And there was a lot of kids in my classes. There were obviously a lot of kids that were just kind of there to, you know, take classes. But there was also a lot of kids that I ended up talking to that were like, oh yeah, I just didn't get into any colleges that I wanted to go to, but I got great grades in high school. You know, I'm here for the exact same reasons that you are. And I was like, oh, yeah, I was thinking about it all wrong. And it also wasn't as much work as I thought it was going to be, which was also definitely a plus. I was willing to do the work to get into UCLA, obviously, but it was nice that I didn't feel like I was drowning in work because my biggest worry is I didn't want it to feel like high school. Right. I didn't want to feel like I was going through high school over again because I was so burnt out and I was so done with high school. I was ready to just move on. But regardless, I think community college was the best decision I could have made because now I'm here. Yeah, now I'm in UCLA. That's amazing. I'm just so excited. It's going to be amazing.
Should we take a quick break? Let's take a break. We're back. I was wondering while you were talking, like you had it was hard. It was a hard period of your life. Yeah. You broke up with your boyfriend. You experienced a lot of loss. You felt really devastated. It was hard as a mom watching you go through that. Would you say though that like, are you grateful at all for the fact that you worked through something that felt impossible, and now do you feel like it made you stronger? I've gone through something hard, and now I know I could meet adversity.
Yes, I 100% think so, and I know that like 5 minutes ago I said I'd never do it again, which I probably wouldn't. However, I am very grateful that all kind of happened to me because in those moments at that time, it was so hard to have kind of a good perspective on anything because I don't want to go very like grim, but I'd never been that low in my entire life. It felt like everything was just going wrong for me. I got rejected from everywhere that I wanted to go. And on top of that, it wasn't even that I got rejected, but a ton of my friends got into places that they were excited about. And so hardest part. It was not only was I dealing with rejection, but I was also obviously dealing with a little bit of jealousy and like having a hard time that obviously, and this is not anything on her, this was just me, but one of my best friends got into every single UC and I was with her when she opened Berkeley and it was obviously so hard because on one hand I was so happy for her because she's also literally one of the hardest workers I know. Like she is so smart and absolutely deserved it. But I was like, on the other hand, I was like, I'm smart too. Like, yes, I worked hard too. And I didn't get in anywhere that I wanted to go. So, and then of course, on top of that, when I was trying to enjoy my summer, I did get broken up with. So that was obviously tripled what I was already feeling and dragged me down even worse. But I feel like now that I've kind of made it to the other side of it, and now that I feel very happy and satisfied with where I am right now, and like even when I have days where I still feel like off about my breakup or whatever, it's so much better because I still feel very happy overall, and I feel like I have so much to look forward to. And so I feel like now that I've kind of made it to the other side of just like that pit of despair, I feel like if anything were to, you know, happen again where I hit a low or something, I feel like it'll be a lot easier to have a better perspective, and better outlook, because I know that regardless of how shitty I'm feeling, it will 100% get better. Like,
yes,
absolutely.
I mean, poor kid, all the things you went through. My heart broke along with your mom's heart when you were going through this.
Yeah.
It was tough to hear. It really was. And it hits you when you're a mom. You know, you feel for, especially knowing you since you were little, you know, and all the things. And you're so, like, you had all these AP classes, great grades. Like, it just didn't make sense. It just really didn't make sense. But
I felt bad too, because like it wasn't just me that this happened to. It was definitely like I had a couple friends as well that did not get into places that they wanted to go, and they had just the same stats and grades and whatever as me, if not better. So it was like hard because I did feel very like alone in it, and I would try so hard to tell myself like, you are not going through this by yourself. But you know, it's obviously like, of course, difficult when you're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I have a question. I mean, I did the best I could to help you, and so did Dad. But when you were at your lowest point, I wonder if you could help moms out there that's kids are going through stuff that's tough. You know, I'm sure I didn't always say the right thing. And a lot of times Dad and I tried to say, and you and I talked about this literally yesterday, how we would say like, I promise you things are going to be different like next year. And you would say to me like, it doesn't matter. Like, I can't, this is going to be the longest year of my life. And we'd be like, it's going to go by fast. And then you're going to do your applications. Is there anything parents can say is there anything I could have done? I know that, you know, you feel helpless as a parent watching your kid. And you don't know as a parent, you also think it's not fair. Like, we think it's not fair. Like, we were always trying to figure out why, but what can parents do? Like, or what could I have done better? Or what did I do right, or whatever? Can you help other parents out there?
I mean, I think you did mostly everything right. I don't think that there was very many times where I felt like you said the wrong thing. I think sometimes I felt a little bit like, I don't know how to say this, but I feel like sometimes it was hard to hear like, oh, like everybody, this is happening. So many people have gone through this, like blah, 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 blah. And I don't even know why that is, but I think it was just like, made me feel like, yeah, I know.
But it's happening to me.
It's happening to me. And like, they're not feeling this right now. Like, you know, it's just like, it's a very hard thing to, I don't know, because I don't know.
I know what you're saying.
It's just hard because I sometimes felt like, not even you specifically, but I felt like other people kind of were trying to be more like, oh, like it will be fine, rather than like, no, I get what you're feeling right now. Like, I feel like I kind of more wanted people to be like, dude, it feels like shit. Like, yeah, like I don't want to say you're right, but sometimes I'd be down on myself and I'd be like, I don't even know why. Like, I'm this like upset about this. Like, people have so many worse issues than getting broken up with and not getting into college, you know? Like, sometimes I feel like I wanted sometimes, even just like with my friends, like I just wanted to hear like, not, oh, like, don't even worry. Like, you're going to be fine. Like,
Right.
time heals all. Like, it's going to be okay. Because again, it does feel like, I know. I think what I didn't want to hear is stuff that I already knew. I knew I was going to be fine eventually, but I think it was just hard because I was like, well, why don't I feel fine right now?
I think it goes, Stephanie, like being moms, it's that this is pure proof that when your kid is feeling like, the one thing you want to do when your kid is feeling down or whatever is sympathize and say like, well, I know that's got to be hard, or that sounds very hard, or that kind of thing, like how we used to say how we would talk to our kids, like kind of say like, I get it, or this happened to me when I was your age, whatever, instead of like, it's going to be fine, you're going to see everybody else is going through the same, like kids don't want to hear that. Like I don't think that.
But on the other hand, I remember telling you, like, it's okay, like, because she also wouldn't cry in front of me. She's very tough. So I remember being like, you can cry, like this sucks. Like, you're allowed to be mad and sad and think it's not fair and cry. But it was almost like she wouldn't cry or be upset unless, not that we were fighting about it, but unless she got really frustrated.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird because I cry like really randomly. Like sometimes I'll be like not even that upset, but I'll be like frustrated. Like when I would get in arguments with my ex-boyfriend, we wouldn't even be arguing over that much, but I would just break down in tears trying to like figure out how to say what I wanted to say. Whereas like I feel like in other times where I'm genuinely like feeling super sad, sometimes it's more of just like a
yeah.
Like,
so the tears usually come from frustration.
I feel like the tears more come from frustration, but there was many times where I would just cry by myself. So, but
and then I would find out, because the problem is it's so incestuous, are like the moms, especially with the oldest. But with you, it'd be both because they're twins. But where I'm friends with the mom, and then I got a mom calling me saying my daughter told me she talked to Elby, and Elby was like so sad, and they talked in the middle of the night, and she's depressed, and I'd be like,
oh, that's hard.
Okay, well, I guess I'm not supposed to know, but you know what I mean? So it's like, I know that you're feeling even lower than you were led on, but you won't talk to me about it.
yeah, I don't know. I think it's just difficult when you don't really know how to like describe too. Like
your way of coping. Yeah.
What the feeling is. Like, I don't know. It was hard because there's only so much, and there's only so much you can say to somebody too that's feeling like that. Like, I have a friend right now that's kind of going through what I was going through, and it's hard being on the other end because all I want to do is just say like, I have been there. Like I kept telling them, I was like, I wish you could have seen me last year. I wish you could have been going through this last year, because you would have felt so much less alone in this, because I was like, you haven't seen me like that. Because he told me, he was like, but you seem like fine. Like you seem like you're doing great. And I'm like, that's because this all happened to me over a year ago. I was suffering for months. But then you don't want to say that because you don't want them to think that they're going to be suffering for months.
Right.
So it's like, it's hard because being on the other end of it too, it's hard because there's really not much you can say, because if somebody's feeling like that, like there's no magic cure to it. There's really nothing. And it sucks because everybody was right. Like time, you gotta let it do its thing. Yeah. And I hated hearing that. I hated it when I was feeling upset. I hated hearing that because it was just so like daunting. Like, it made it seem like it was going to last so long. But I think like to kind of combat it, I would always just try to give myself stuff to like look forward to. Like I would always made sure that I had at least one fun thing that I could look forward to. Like when I first got broken up with in August, obviously devastated for weeks, wouldn't leave my room, barely could eat. My friends would take me out to lunch and I would start crying, like literally bawling in the middle of my friend
worst.
Ariana. She is the best. She took me to CPK and I felt horrible because out of nowhere I was eating my kids' mac and cheese and I just start sobbing into my food and there's nothing she can do. And I just felt so bad because I don't know. But at that time, I'd already had a trip planned to go visit my friend in Berkeley for her birthday. So I was like, okay, you know what? I have like a couple weeks. I just got to get through the next couple weeks. And then I'm going to be in Berkeley with all my besties. We're going to be partying. We're going to be having a good time. Like I have a weekend to take my mind off of it. And then I came back and then I'd be like, okay, now me and my two besties from work, we have we're going to a house show like at the beginning of October. And obviously Berkeley was at like the end of September. So I was like, okay, now I just have to get through these next couple weeks and I get to go to this really fun concert and put on a cute outfit.
That's great.
And I get to buy my outfit and whatever. And like, I think like even though I'm doing so much better now, I still kind of do that. I'm still like, okay, what's the next thing that I'm going to like have on my list of fun things to do? And I feel like obviously after getting into UCLA, I don't need to do that as much because I have all of college ahead of me and I know that I'm going to have so much fun and it's going to be great. But I think that kind of made it better because it made it feel like less time.
Right.
You know?
I have a question too.
Yeah.
You know, you've always had a really upbeat personality. Like you've always been an optimist like me. I've always said to Dad, like you and I have that thing. Like you're always able to look at the bright side. Yeah. But this you just couldn't. Like there was
you down.
And it was really scary as a parent because I was like, what happened to her personality? Like, you know, because in my mind, I was like, okay, going to community college isn't the worst. Like my kid's living a fairly charmed life. If the absolute worst thing that's ever happened to her is having to go to community college for a year. Yeah. So it was hard to see her that taken down, to see you that like not able to see any positives. Cause you know, basically I was like, fuck, I went to community college. I didn't even want to go to college. Yeah. So I'm wondering, my question is not like, why was that so bad? But my question is like, did you ever question yourself of like, am I suddenly a person with a different person? Were you like, why can't I find, do you think of yourself as an optimist and that you're able to see the bright side? And were you worried about yourself? Like, am I like, do I have depression now? Like, am I a depressed okay.
Yeah.
Please elaborate.
I think it was definitely like tough because I do consider myself very much an optimist. I feel like even when I feel like shit, and I don't mean that last year. I mean before that, any other smaller situations, I feel like I always accidentally am like, but like you still got this, like it's still gonna be fine. So I feel like it was scary to myself because I was like, wow, like I cannot see anything good. Like it was tough because I was like, yeah, community college isn't the worst. But then what if I get rejected from all these colleges again? Like instead of, because I tend to catastrophize and it just felt like that on like steroids. Like it felt like somebody like, I'd feel like I'd like all of my bad scenarios that could happen just completely outweighed anything good. Like I couldn't even see myself getting into UCLA. I was desperate to. That was like my main goal. But I was walking around community college, trudging to my class with my AirPods in. And I was like, I probably won't get, like, I don't know if I'm going to get into UCLA. Like, what if I'm here another year? Like, I don't know anyone here. Like, because I didn't really have any friends at my community college. It was all like people from my high school that I'm either acquainted with or people I don't like. Right. So I was like, I would literally go to class sit in my class for an hour and a half, come home.
Yeah.
And so it was just hard to like, it was
and then
hard.
you went through a tough time too at work kind of for a while too.
Oh yeah, there was obviously, I feel like we've talked about it on here before, but obviously there was a lot of drama that went down at work. And obviously when you're in community college and you barely have any classes as it is, the drama at work consumes like your entire life. And I lost some friends over fucking nothing, like for a misunderstanding that obviously ended up getting solved, and now we're all friends again and it's chill. But it was just hard because I was like, damn, I barely have anything going on at school, which I was like, I wish I had more stuff going on at school. Had I gotten the opportunity, I probably would have taken more in-person classes, but I didn't even have an option. Like some of the classes I had to take were only offered online or at the same time as my other class. So I was like, I barely have anything going on at school. I don't really have a schedule in my life. I'm to kind of get away from that. I'm at work every second that I can be at work, but then you get really burnt out from work, even though you see everyone. And I'm like, okay, like whatever. And then all the drama goes down at work, and I'm like, I have literally nothing going on in my life except for drama and waiting for college decisions to come back, you know?
And then you were kind of dreading the college decisions. Like you didn't want to talk about
I
it.
have questions about, should we take a break? Yeah, I got questions.
Yeah.
So,
ask away.
So, sorry. My kids are doing the community college thing in 2 different cities.
Yeah.
And did you have, like, how did you did it in 1 year?
Yes.
But you knew which classes you needed.
Yes. So my mom literally forced me to talk to counselors. Thank God. Please, for anyone listening, please make sure if you are in community college, talk to as many counselors as you can. Okay. Because some of them won't give you all the information you need. And then you got to go to another counselor for them to give you all the information you need. And obviously, again, I feel like I've talked about it on here before, how I just got totally like, couldn't tag, couldn't do TAP because I was not.
So TAG is the Transfer Alliance Guarantee, right?
Transfer Admission Guarantee, yeah.
Yeah.
And then TAP is
Transfer Alliance Program, basically. It's like
TAP
is specifically for UCLA. And it's not guaranteed, but it's like priority admission. And then TAG is like your guaranteed admission to one of the UCs that's part of the program. I didn't get to do either of those, long story short, just because I was not told all the correct steps that I needed to take. But
and by the way, if Natalia was trying to do it in a year, the time to tag is by the end of this month.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's September 30th.
Because she's been talking to counselors about it.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
And they brought up the tag, and so she was trying to make sure that she has. I don't know if she's going to try and do it in 1 year, but
yeah. My thing is, I felt very thankful because at first when I started, I thought that having taken all those APs didn't do anything for me. I thought that it didn't matter, but it definitely did. A lot of my APs, I want to say like 9 of them, gave me like 5 or so credits each to transfer over. Like they were all transferable classes. So I already knocked out a bunch of my credits from my AP classes.
Oh, that's great.
And then from that, my counselors kind of gave me, they were like, okay, you need these classes to get into this school, but then this school, like they'll do it by major. They'll tell you exactly what you need, like depending on your major. They'll tell you what classes you're required to have already taken. They'll tell you classes that they recommend you take, classes that, of course, like can be replaced by an AP class. Like for my major, I had to have passed a statistics class, which I passed my AP stats, so that counted. I needed a psychology course, and I took AP Psych in high school as well, so that also covered that. And then with the remaining classes, they were like, you don't need this one to transfer, but you need these 2 to transfer, and then these 2 other classes will look good to transfer.
Right.
So,
And then at the last minute, it was like, oh, and by the way, if you want to get into San Diego State, like,
oh my God. Yeah. They had all the CSUs have like the Golden 4. And they were like, oh yeah, you need to take an oral communications class, which I didn't realize until.
What's the Golden 4?
It's like English, math.
Yeah.
I don't actually know what it is off the top of
One's
my
like
head.
critical thinking.
Critical thinking. It's weird. It's a weird set of classes. Thankfully, I'd already had 3 out of 4 of them covered, but I was already starting my college applications. Like, it was that time. It was like October or
You
something.
were well into it.
I was way into it. And they were like, oh, yeah, by the way, you need to take this class. So I was like, oh, well, now I got to add another class onto. I think I took it during the winter. I took a communications course during the winter.
But I was Googling, she wasn't aware of it. I was Googling, something, and it said Golden 4. And I was like, what's that? So I called Robin because her kid went to San Diego State. And I was like, have you heard of this thing? And she was like, yeah, I do think he needed to take a communications class. And I was like, Elby, ask the counselor.
Yeah. So then she was like, oh yeah, by the way, you totally, I asked the counselor, I was like, by the way, what's the Golden 4? And she was like, oh yeah, you do need that. And then she like looks through my stuff and she's like, oh yeah, you're missing this class. You can take it during here. And I was like, oh my God, another one? Like,
So I got to tell my kids about the Golden 4?
If they
have them look it up.
Well,
if they want to apply to CSUs.
Yeah, it's only for
okay.
Only for Cal States.
Okay.
Yeah. Other
But
than
she
that.
wanted to get into. Okay, let me ask you this though. So Natalia, they just need to regularly meet with a counselor.
Well, she has, which is great. And the thing that kind of scared me, though, is you said if the one counselor's not giving you the information you need, go to another. Well, how do you know if the one counselor? I don't know. Hopefully, she has a good counselor.
I mean, I think also on top of that, it was hard because I'd only done it in a year. So I only had like 2 months to figure out all of these deadlines. Whereas if Natalia is doing it in 2 years, she has a whole year and a couple months to figure out all the deadlines.
Right.
Which that's the amount of time it took a lot of my like friends that also did community. I have a couple people that did community college for 2 years and they had enough meetings with counselors and enough time and enough preparation to do it. Whereas I feel like I started college applications like 2 months
after school started.
Like I graduated high school, had my summer, started school, and 2 months later I'm applying to college again.
Because when's the deadline for the...
So for UCs, the deadline is November 30th. For CSUs, it's November 1st. Okay. And that's all the schools I was applying to, basically, because it was kind of just California or nothing at that point.
Right.
So I obviously knew when, like, the actual application deadlines were, but I didn't even know the tag was a separate application until I was trying to apply in November, and they were like, oh, yeah, you missed that deadline 2 months ago, girl. And I was like, what? Like,
I feel
what
like
are you talking about?
While she was sad, while she was seemingly depressed and joyless, the hits kept coming.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my God. Then she comes home one day and says, yeah, I can't, guess what? I can't do the TAP program, which her heart was set on UCLA. Why not? Because apparently none of my classes are honors classes. So it was like, we talked about that the last time she was on the show. She was so upset about that one. Then we find out she missed the tag deadline. So we're just like, oh God, now you're just in limbo city right now.
It was.
What do you think was the moment where you started to like feel better?
I think there was quite a few moments.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. What?
I want Caitlin to turn the air off.
Oh,
Off?
Yeah.
It's gonna get hot.
It's going to get hot? Quick?
Probably.
All right. Just for a few minutes, like blowing right on my head. Okay.
I think there was quite a few moments that I started to feel better. But I think it was pretty gradual, I want to say. I don't even think there was, I mean, obviously getting into UCLA was like a game changer. Like, because I finally didn't feel like I was waiting on anything. Like, waiting on college decisions was the worst part of the process, just because I was like, I've done everything I can. I've put so much work into this. I felt good about my essays. Like, I have straight A's in community college, which I submitted. So I was just like, it's all about waiting, and it was so tedious. And I think getting into UCLA was kind of a game changer, because I was like, well, even if I feel like terrible about other things, now I can say I have UCLA, and I know that I'm going to make a ton of new friends, which I already have. And it was so nice that I knew that I was going to have a change to like my life. And I don't even mean like, I don't know. It was just after getting out of high school, I felt like I'd had the same routine that I was so tired of, so burnt out of, which was going to school every single day. And I hated high school by the end. It wasn't even the school itself. I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I hated high school. Didn't like some of my classes. I would have drama in my friend group. Like half the reason why I went to school was my boyfriend. Literally half the time he'd be like, I don't want to go. I'm not going to school today. And I'd be like, oh God, my day is going to suck.
Yeah.
Like, cause
Yeah.
that's totally dramatic, by the way. Not every single day was bad in high school. I didn't like high school. I was so burnt out. By junior year, I was done. I was like, I'm so done going to classes every day. Like, I can't. And then I had work on the weekends. And again, in the beginning, I loved my job. But, you start to get a little tired of it once you're there for a couple of years. And then I got rejected. And it was like, oh, lucky you. You're going to be going to community college 5 minutes away from your high school with all these kids from your high school. And now you're going to go to school and you're going to go to work. And that's all you're going to have in your life for another year. And I was like, oh my God, like it's going to be the same thing. And now I don't have a boyfriend. And so I was like, which he gets to go to college and have a great time with all these people and he gets to forget about it. And I was like, dang, like sucks for me. So I think getting into UCLA, I was like, oh my God, it doesn't matter how sad I am over anything else. I'm going to get to live in an apartment. And I don't care about having a roommate. I'm totally happy to have a roommate, especially the roommates that I have now. I've lucked out with them. They're amazing. So I'm like, now I get to have built-in friends in my apartment or my dorm or whatever I get because I didn't know at the time. I get to go to a completely different school. It's a great freaking school on top of that.
Gosh.
It's an amazing school. I get to tell people I go to
community.
UCLA.
Westwood, like all that stuff. Everything.
I was like, my whole life is going to be totally different, which I think, as much as I think change scares me a bit and definitely gives me anxiety, I think this was like the time where I was like, I'm so ready. I'm so ready for a change. And then obviously I had the greatest summer ever. I had so much fun. I made like an entirely new friend group. I cut off things with my ex pretty much. It was mutual, but that was going on for a while.
You're going to meet somebody
that
like
was going on
that.
for a while. Lord knows why. I don't know why I did that. But, that ended and I thought I was going to be depressed again because I was like, oh God, I haven't gone without speaking to him for more than like a month since we broke up. And it's been mostly us talking every day still. Don't do that, guys. If you're listening, don't do that. Do not do that. But I thought I was going to be so sad, but then I totally wasn't. And I had a great summer, made all these amazing friends. I think being distracted was like a good part of it because I've been telling people it's not good to distract yourself early on, but I think because it's good to, sit in your feelings for a bit. As much as it sucks, you gotta sit in your feelings because it's always gonna hit you at some point. So I think being hit with it for months beforehand, I was like, okay, now I can start distracting myself. I've sat in my feelings. I've felt all the emotions. Now I'm good to just kind of let myself have a great time.
You've grown leaps and bounds out of this experience.
Yeah.
And my God, like all the hard work and it's paid off. Like
Yeah.
now you're going to UCLA. You're just going to have the best time. Elby, you're a success story. You really are. And I think every parent should listen to this episode, especially that has kids going off to college.
Yeah.
This is really because the heartbreak you went through, the heartbreak your mom had to watch you go through, it was just tough.
Yeah.
But now, like, look at you. I mean, I'm freaking proud of you.
Yeah, I think it's crazy because this is the first time that I've seen myself and I genuinely feel like a completely different person than I was a year. Like, I feel like I always, like, a year will go by and I'll be like, I still feel like I'm pretty similar to how I was, like, the year before. But now I kind of, like, look at myself and I'm like, holy shit, I'm a completely different person in, like, the best way possible.
Yes.
Like, in an amazing way.
Yeah.
And I I'm very happy. And I think like biggest thing to take away, do community college. Please do it. Do it.
Okay.
You won't regret it.
That makes me happy to hear.
So much
And
better.
the funny thing is too that like the girl that was helping us bring her stuff up to the apartment, it's so crazy how many people did that path.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that girl went to community college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See? Yeah.
Oh, and another thing to add, one of my roommates, she dropped out of Berkeley because she hated Berkeley, and she did community college for a year, and now she's with me, and she was
Wow.
so excited about her decision. So I'm just like, it's very eye-opening. Like, I could have gone into freaking Berkeley for who knows and gone and still hated it.
Yes.
And been like, well, now I'm going to do community college for a year anyways and end up here. So I think like the biggest like takeaway for me was like, it sucked and it was not how it sucks because it wasn't where I saw myself. But like, I think it's important to, you know, assess all your options and just know like, I feel great now that I'm at UCLA. I'm super excited for the next 2-3 years if I spread it out to 3 years. And it's super cool because now all my friends are jealous because they're like, oh, are you graduating a year before me? And I'm like, yeah, I am.
That's
like,
true.
Unless she wants to make it last longer and she can double major if she wants.
Yeah, that's true.
Become a serious student.
Now I have lots of options.
Totally.
So it's super cool.
The world is your oyster.
But I'm ready. I'm ready to rush a sorority.
Oh, here we go.
So now we're going to end this episode and we're going to talk with
We're gonna do
Elby about
Patreon.
drinking and hoeing, right?
Yeah, summertime. Hey.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Elby.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you.
All right.
You're a parent now.
Don't F it up.